Next movie is The Old Woman with the Knife. The Old Woman with the Knife, directed by Kyu Dong-min. And once again, this is a South Korean movie. You have two main characters, but you have a bunch of characters in here. But the two main characters are going to be, originally she gets called Nails, but then she becomes Hornclaw. You say, what kind of a name is this, Bruce? What is this? She goes by Hornclaw. It starts out with a little prologue in 1975, where you kind of get to discover how Nails got discovered, basically. And essentially you have this thing where this guy is going along, it's snowy. You see the young woman version of what becomes Hornclaw, and she's young, like probably late teens, early 20s, and she's stumbling across the street and she has fallen in the snow and she's being covered by the snow. Something's gone terribly wrong in her life. You don't know if she's escaped from somewhere or if she's just like out without a home. You don't know what the deal is. No story really. But she gets discovered and picked up by the guy, taken back, taken into his house with him and his wife. And very quickly, you have a quick little scene where a U.S., I think it's a soldier, like once again, it's in the 70s, comes into their establishment, sees, quote, Nails, Hornclaw, sees her, and when he gets her alone, tries to assault her. And very quickly, she kills the guy. And you think the person who discovered her, when he finds her with this U.S. guy dead, would freak out or something, but no, he doesn't. And you find out really quickly that he has basically got a kind of an assassin ring that he essentially runs. They call it pest control. So in the similar vein to Dexter or something, but as like an assassin organization, they basically take jobs or do jobs that involve people for one reason or another who they deem should die because they're terrible people. And once again, there's a lot of problematic stuff there, but this isn't taking that kind of so seriously. It's not taking this as a very serious sociological issue. It's just that's the situation. And then you have her credits and you fast forward to the current day. She is now an older woman. She is almost over her prime as an assassin, which we just saw that movie recently and I forget. It had the guy from Inglourious Bastards. I can't remember what the movie was called, where he was an older assassin, and it really just didn't work for me. But a similar idea, right? She's an older assassin in this situation, but she is revered. She is known as deadly. But because her edge is a little bit dulled, her hand isn't as steady as it used to be, well, there might be some question on whether they need to retire her. And retiring people in an assassin game could be dangerous to the assassin. It could be a John Wick situation where everyone's out to get you. But it doesn't play out that way. I thought it was going to play out that way. Oh, it was going to be her against her association, all of them trying to get her. Instead, it becomes a duel between old and young because they bring in a new young guy, and that is the bullfight guy. And he is the stereotypical, tropey, out of control, super brash, younger assassin who he's cruel. He thinks does no wrong. He thinks he's invincible. And he also just is cocky, and he's also very good and very dangerous. He'll fly off the handle. He's uncontrollable a little bit, but for whatever reason, he wants to be part of their organization. She immediately doesn't have a liking to him, and he doesn't have a liking to her. And before you know it, after a series of events, he is essentially probably trying to take her down. And she knows it, and she is trying to both stay alive and protect this veterinarian family that she is essentially trying to protect this veterinarian and his family who helped her at one point. And because they helped her, the system there wants her to get rid of this guy because he knows her and he knows who she is. And the idea is that you don't want to leave any loose ends. You don't want to leave people knowing, about you. She, of course, for the reason she has, doesn't want to get rid of him. And the bullfight guy might be one of the people that's sent to both take her out and to take this veterinarian and his family out. So you've got some stakes there. So it becomes part, like I said, cat and mouse game, part kind of character study of aging assassin trying to come to terms with what she's doing and what it means to her, and does she want to kind of reform herself to some degree, kind of like The Killer to some degree we'd had a few years ago too. This idea of coming to a point of realization of where you are in your life as an assassin And then the other side of it, of course, is the last job or no more jobs. I'm going to get out of this game, that kind of a thing. And doesn't sound like enough. There's also a kind of a subtext of maybe there's more going on with this bullfight, young, crazy killer guy than just he wants to be the new big wheel at this assassin game. Maybe there is a personal grudge going on that we don't know about at first that might come into play. Yes, because I'm asking that, that's probably true. All right. So how does this movie play? Like, where do I come down on this? First of all, I don't think this is the most crazy action-packed assassin type of movie. Like I said, it's not a John Wick movie, that's for sure. But it has its moments, and it has some, sorry, I have creatures in here making noises. It has moments where you definitely do get some set pieces and some violence and all that kind of stuff. You'd have to in this kind of movie. If you didn't get that, you'd be really like, what are we doing here? But it isn't going to be staged in these huge set pieces like you get in a John Wick movie. But that being said, all of the pieces that were here, I think worked pretty darn well. And I was pretty engaged with them all the way along. If there's one drawback I had to this movie, I felt like it almost felt like a movie where I was part of a series of movies, but I didn't have the other movies to access. So almost like there was more information around the edges that I didn't quite know that I would have made it even more full for me. But and to some degree, I appreciate that because they didn't feel the need to over give me information or over explicate every single thing. But I also felt like sometimes, hey, am I in the middle of a series of movies and I've only seen the middle segment? Even that being said, though, I got it enough that it worked. And maybe I'm just missing a few things that I somehow should have caught when I was watching it. And that happens sometimes, especially in international movies where the translation may not be 100% giving us everything the way it would if you were speaking the native language. All that being said, I had a pretty darn good time with this. I enjoyed the main character a lot. Lee Hye-young. I kind of looked up her filmography and maybe I missed something, but I feel like I know her, but I couldn't quite place her. But both her and the actor playing Bullfight were really charismatic, and that's kind of what you want in a movie like this. And I found it a really solid movie. Solid, character-driven, kind of thriller, action-y assassin movie with a little meat on its bones. So I think that if you kind of like that brand of movie, you'll probably at least like it. You may want it to be more action if you really want it to be John Wick style, like I said. But if you're like me, a person who's not so much into the action genre, I think this gives you enough style and character points that it'll keep you engaged. So in that way, it might not be fully entertaining to both sides, but it might actually garner a little bit broader audience. Also, it's got a pretty darn striking poster and a great name. The Old Woman with the Knife. Okay, you're like, okay, what's up here? What's going on? I was going to originally go 3.5 stars. I think I'm going to go 4 stars. Looking back on this, I quite like this movie. I think this is a pretty solid watch. I think that, once again, this is a movie that if you don't catch it because it probably isn't going to come to a lot of theaters, and it isn't absolutely required to see in a theater, I don't think. It's not that big. This is the kind of movie, if it comes onto a streamer, you might be really pleasantly surprised to discover it. And once you settle into it, you might really find yourself enjoying it. And that's going to be 4 stars for The Old Woman with the Knife.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.